Lloyd Jacob's Cheshbon is showing Gewein Rosh Chodesh Nisan. It's just like now. According to Yaakov's calculation, it was now the start of the month of Nisan. Hat bis jetzt nicht geessen kein Chometz in Pesach. Up until now, he had never eaten any Chometz in Pesach time. Is übergekommen die 8 Tage mit Milch, Käse, Grinsen. He came through the 8 days with milk, cheese, and greens. Die freilendicke Warmkeit ist gehat ausgeruhen und es ist wieder geworden kalt. The early spring the pre-spring warmth had disappeared, run out, and it again had become cold. We could discuss that word wieder in another pre-class session. A gedichte Schnee is ungefallen. A thick snow had fallen. Es hat sich gestellt a Frestel. There was a frost. Es hat grad azoi getroffen, als Antok hat gehat eingehandelt a Kuh in a dick Dorf. It happened unexpectedly, or it just happened, that Antok, that is the brother of Wanda, had wanted to purchase a cow in a neighboring village. Hat mitgenommen Wandin auf Venus. He took Wanda along with him for help, explanation, guidance, I would say. Wanda hat ihm nicht gekonnt obsorgen. Wanda was not able to put him off, to deny that. Wie lang Jakob hat sich da gefunden, hat sie, Wanda, sich nicht gekonnt zu kriegen mit der Bruder. As long as Yaakov was located in where he was, she was not able to fight with her brother. In der Früh hat Yaakov ausgemolken die Key. In the morning, Yaakov milked the cows. Dennoch hat sich weggestellt hacken Holz. Afterwards, he went to chop wood. I'm going to put this down. Hat lieber gehabt die dosige Arbeit mehr von alle anderen Arbeiten. He liked the chopping of wood better than any of the other work. Die Scheiten seien heint wieder geflogen unter der Hack. The chunks of wood today, again, wieder, flew under the axe. Es ist nicht gewesen, das Kletzel. This is a sentence I could not understand. Es ist nicht gewesen, das Kletzel, mag es sein, die Haut in voll mit Knäuderin, soll nicht gleich werden zu spalten. So I could use some help with that. A kletzel is a block of wood. There was no block of wood that was hard and filled with knoidelin, I don't know what that word means, that did not crack. In other words, he was so successful in his work with the with the hak. In the Gosh
Has,
yeah.
has anybody found a meaning for the word knoideren?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't find it in a dictionary either.
No, I couldn't find it either, but presumably it means something like knots. That's what I presume.
Yeah, I think it does, but we could probably go to the Yiddish Book Center and find it in other sentences. And in die go schwere Kletterlich hat reingesetzt a clean. This is some technical thing that I know the words, but I don't know what it means. In the very hard blocks of wood, he put a wedge. Somebody,
Can I go back to the previous sentence? What is zerspalten?
Did not. I think that they were cracked. They were cracked, and he succeeded in cracking this wood, no matter how knotty it was. But and then he would put a wedge in the hardest. A clean is a wedge.
Perhaps split is a better translation.
They were split, right?
Zerspalten.
Yeah. So he was very successful in his wood chopping. Hat ongehakt a ganzen Stoß. He hacked or he cracked a whole stack of wood. Noch is rein in Shire sich opruhen. Afterwards, he went back into the barn to rest. Hat sich weggelegt auf den Streu und zugeschlossen the Wies. He laid himself down on the straw and he closed his eyelashes. Gleich hat sich ihm genommen epis Cholemen. Immediately he started dreaming. We know what he's dreaming about. Hat gehabt zu tun mit Wanden. It had to do with Wanda. Aber das kolmdicke Tuex is zustande gekommen, nicht da in Dorf, but this, it had to do with Wanda, but this, and I always think of two X's as an action. This dream, this action did not take place in the village, nor ergens anders, but someplace else. Mit dem Mal hat Jakob der spielt, die Emes stochet ihm und weckt ihn. Suddenly, he felt that somebody was poking him and waking him up. Hat aufgemacht die Augen. He opened his eyes. The Tier von Shire is gewein offen. The door of the barn was open. Neben ihm is gestanden Basche, Wanda's Schwester. Next to him stood Basche, Wanda's sister. Sie hat gerufen, steh auf, mir ruft dich zu Zagayakin. Stand up, get up.
Wait.
They're calling you to Zagayak's house. Wer ruft? Who's calling me? A pacholik, a laborer, a boy, a worker, a boy worker. Jakob hat sich aufgesetzt. He sat himself up. Hat wohl vernommen, was da geschieht. He knew, when I think of the word vernommen, I think of the word possessed. Like, his benumen by a demon. But in this context, it seems like he knew well what was happening. Zagayik hat sich der wusst, als will antläufen und es ist sein Jakobs Sof. Zagayik knew that Yaakov was planning to run away. And this was Jacob's end. Stefan hat erst nicht lang gehabt vorausgesucht wanden, als wir wird dem Jid zurechtmachen. Stephan, the son of Zagaic, had had recently told Wanda that they were going to soon bring the Jew to justice. Nu, es ist gekommen die Zeit. Okay, the time has come. Hat etwas in Jacobin also getun. So something said this inside him. Hat sich gericht darauf, die alle Jahren sind mir hat ihm gefangen. He had always expected this all the years since he had been captured. Ist aufgestanden mit streulich dicker Fies. He stood up with, I don't know, some bumpy legs, weak legs. Stumbling legs, that's good. Yeah, stumbling legs. Bei der Schwell hat sich herabgebeugen und angenommen Schnee in der Hand. When he was at the threshold, he bent down and he took snow in his hands. Hat abgerieben die Handflächen mit der Schnee. Soll Megan sagen a Yiddish word. He washed the palms of his hands with the snow so that he could say a Yiddish word. He was going to say more than a Yiddish word here. Yehi ratzon shetihiyeh mitzvati kaparati al kol avanatai. It should be, well, I'll read it in Yiddish. Soll sein dein Willen, als mein Teut soll sein an Obleser for alle meine Sind. It should be your will that my death will be a kapara, a freeing from all of my sins. Hat Jacob gemurmelt. He murmured to himself. Es ist gewähn de Vidui, was es haben verzeitens gesucht, jene, was seinen umgekommen mit Mitef Beitin. This was the last words, the confessional. Vidui would be a confessional or the last words that in olden times was said for somebody who was not taken to death, but condemned to death by the court. Say again? Judged to death by the court. A weil is ihm eingefallen, soll proven antrühren. He thought for a little while that perhaps he should try to run away. Aber wie soll? How could he do this? Is borvis und on a pelz. He's barefoot and without a warm fur covering. Nein, ich will nicht einschlafen. No, I am not going to try and run away. Hat bei sich abgepasst. He decided. Ich habe gesündigt und verdient die Strafe. I have sinned and I deserve the punishment. In Dreußen hat Gewalt Zagaics Badinel. Outside, it was waiting for him I guess a worker of Zagaic. Hat nicht getragen kein Gewehr. He was not carrying any weaponry. Hat also getun zu Jacob. He said to Jacob, Komm, the Politzim warten, the lords are waiting. Jaakovin is geboren, trocken in Hals. He became dry in his throat. Vozere Politzim, what nobles? The Taival waste. Only the devil knows. You want me to read another paragraph? Or? Yes? No?
No, why not?
Okay, yes.
Most
Okay,
of
okay. Yeah, I'll read. Okay. Aha. Mir macht euch mir am Mishpat, hat Jakob zu sich gesucht. Aha. They're making, because he heard that they were waiting for him like a group, they're going to make a judgment of me. Der Hund hat gebillt, the dog barked. Die Bajikache is herausgekommen von der Tier. The wife of the Bajikache, that is to say, Jean Bajik's wife, widow now, came out from near the door. Sie ist gestanden a kleine, a breite, das Ponem gel, und von die krumme Augen spälteliche hat herausgeguckt etwas, was ist nicht Mitleid und nicht Nekama. So she's standing there, a small one, a broad one, a yellow face, and from her crooked eyes, remember she had that tartar-like face, there looked out a look that was not full of compassion and not full of revenge. Nur die Stummkeit von jener, was nehmen on, wie Behemoth, aller Verläufenischen, wissen nicht von kein schon Widerstand. Wieder again. Like she stood there, no compassion, no revenge, and she looked like those silent people that, like animals, they're like animals that take every event and they don't know anything. They never make any opposition. Widerstand is opposition. There's no opposition in them. They just take it as it comes. Basha hat sich weggestellt neben dem Mutter. Basha came out and she stood next to her mother. Noch a while is der Hund geworden still. After a little while, the dog became still. Abgelost dem Wedel. Put down his tail. Es ist gut, was Wanda is nicht dabei, hat Jakob declared. It's good that Wanda isn't here, Jakob thought to himself. Busy wird sich umkehren, wird schon öfter sein noch allemen. By the time she comes back, everything will be over. Hat gewollt sagen Shema Yisrael, nur hat beschlossen, als es ist zu früh. He wanted to say Shema Yisrael, but he decided that it was too early. Das wird sagen, wenn wird ihm Anton die Strick auf den Hals. He'll say the Shema when they put the string on his neck. Es ist ihm geworden kalt und schwer im Bauch. It became cold and heavy in his belly. Hat getan a Schluckerz und a Greps. He did a hiccup and a Greps. His internal system is reacting to what's happening. Hat genommen Murmelin das dritte Kapital Tehillim. He started saying the third chapter of Tehillim. Nur wenn es ist gekommen zu die Werte, Ve'ata Hashem magen ba'adi kevodi v'marim roshi, and that means and and God, you will be with me, you will protect me, and you will lift my head. Hat sich abgehabt. He stopped himself. Es ist schon spät vor azoi Hoffärtigkeit, for such confidence. You would think there it would be hope, but here he uses the word Hoffärtigkeit, confidence. Jakob hat a Schockel getan mit dem Kopf zu der Baschediker und Baschen, zu der Beschikerte and Basha. He gave a shake of his head to the Bajikache and Basha. No, sie haben nicht geantwortet, but they didn't answer. Sie seien gestanden wie ausgestoppte, wie Hilzner Getzen. They stood there like stuffed idols. Getzen. Jakob hat sich gelost gehen mit der Pacholek. He let himself go with the worker. Verchiduscht, was jener is nicht beworft und was ni binst ihm, Jacobin, nicht die Hand. He went along with the this worker, and he was surprised that this worker was not armed, and they didn't bind Jacob's hand. Jakob ist gegangen mit gebeugenem Kopf und gemostener Tritt. He went with a bent head and with very slow measured steps. Nu, muss kommen der Sof zu als, hat zu sich gerät in der Machshava. Well, everything has to come to an end, he said to himself. Ist schon lang negerig, a Blick zu tun, was es tut sich auf jener Seite Blut und Fleisch. He had for a long time now been curious as to what stood on the other side of blood, flesh and blood. Hat mehr gar nicht gewollt, a chutz was gicher ibel gekommen, de Chavalei Mavet, the Veituk von Toit. Now he wanted nothing more other than to quickly pass through the pain of death. Is gewein ungebreit Mikidush Hashem zu sein, oi die Poritzim wollen verlangen, soll lekenen in Gott oder lästern sein Nomen. He was strong from the idea of Kiddush Hashem, that he would not, if the Poritzim would demand that he deny God or blaspheme his name. That's it.
Okay. Babes seien nach Reus gekommen. Women came out. Noch geguckt. They were watching. What is temp?
Dull,
Sorry.
rather dully watching without much emotion.
Aha. Kind haben gebildet oder friedlich gedreht mit die Wedeln. I'm sorry, I need help with that sentence. Michael, would you be willing to help? Or
Sure.
Yankov?
Okay.
Dogs barked.
Dogs barked. Well, hint are dogs, and Billen is barking, so the dogs barked. Oder Friedrich gedreht mit die Wedeln, or else Friedrich, that's German again, peacefully wagged drehen mit die Wedeln. A Wedel is a tail, so they wagged their tail.
Aha. Es ist Jakovin von Ergetz a Kegen gekommen, a Katschke. From somewhere, a cat came toward Yaakov.
Duck,
A
Is
duck, a duck,
A duck.
Yeah, Kachka,
duck.
okay.
There you have it. We're in a village.
Nu wirst mich überleben. Well, it's going to outlive me.
Yeah.
Hat
Okay.
Yaakov sie getraced. Yaakov said to it.
He
Hat sich,
comforted.
sorry?
Come.
He comforted himself.
He
No,
comforted
comforted it. No, I think he's comforting the
duck.
the kachka. The
The
kachka.
duck, yes,
Yeah, the
the duck.
kachka. He's comforting the kachka. He's saying, you're going to live longer than I will. He thinks he's going to his death.
Ja, hat sich gesegnet, sei mit dem Dorf, sei mit der Welt. He had already said his farewell to the village and to the world. Sie soll noch nicht verschlagt werden von Verdruss, ist ihm durchgelaufen durch ein Rehen. I'm sorry, I need help with that sentence too.
Well, he's thinking of Vanda, and he's worried that he's saying, she will not become sick, nicht verschlafen. She will come not sick from disappointment. He worrying about her, and this passed through his brain, his mind, whatever. I don't know what rain is, but he's worried about Vanda.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Hat gemeint, wandern. Nu, es ist nicht beschert gewesen. Sie soll kommen zum Emes. And he thought about Wanda. Well, it's not fated that she will come to the truth. Hat sie bedeuert. Which he had been Badoyat is that he had been teaching her or helping her.
So more regretting.
He was regretting.
He regretted. Okay. Hat aufgehoben die Augen, gesehen dem Himmel. He raised his eyes and saw the sky. A blue sky. A frühlingsdick, ausgeleiterter. What is frühlingsdick?
Spring.
Spring, like.
Spring.
No, he said
spring.
it was cold again, but he says it's spring-like now.
Spring-like and a bright sky. Mit an einzig Wolkendal, was hat ausgeguckt, wie
Achaya.
Achaya mit ein Horn on. Well, so it had a little cloud that was watching, or that looked like Achaya mit ein Horn on. We have to get to the next page. Und mit der langen Hals. What is a chaya? It's an animal, right?
An animal.
With the way, the shape of the animal, it had one horn and a very long throat or neck.
The hals is neck, okay. Von der Weitens haben rüber geguckt, die Berg, was durch sie hat Jakob einmal geplant, wegzuläufen von Gefangenschaft. Von der Weidens.
In the distance, from the distance.
In the distance, he could see the mountain where they had sent Yaakov some time ago.
Where he thought that once he thought he had planned that he was going to run away from this captivity, from his
captivity, right? Wegzuläufen, to run away von Gefangenschaft, from his captivity. Nus is bashert soll sein mit sei. But it's fated that I have to stay with these people. Hat gemeint, Vater, Mama, Weib und Kinder. And so he felt that he was going to, Zay must be his family then, that he had in mind his parents and his wife and his children.
He was going to join the dead people.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Der Pakulek hat ihm gehabt zugeführt zu Zacharias Haus. The peasant guy led him to Zacharias' house. She's dort gestanden aboard. There was a wagon or a carriage over there. Zugespannt zu zwei Pferd, spanned in with two horses. There's a better word than spanned in.
Hitched up. It was hitched to two horses?
Yeah, we were attached to two horses, yeah. Side boy, side gespann, haben ausgeguckt, fremd. Both the carriage and the harnesses looked strange. Und die Chamuten haben rausgestarrt, menschlich. From the horse collars, you could see brass. Zwischen die hinterste Räder hat gehangen a lantern. Behind the back wheels, there was hanging a lantern. Man hat gehabt, angehangen auf die Pferd, wollene Deckers. They had put woolen blankets on the horses. Man hat Jakob aufgeführt auf a Garten mit gescheierter Treppe. So they led Yaakov up polished steps to a higher level, a garden, a different level, or a level with polished steps. Hat schon gehabt, vergessen, als sie ist da, als the Treppe. He had already forgotten that things like stairs still existed. Hat schon gehabt, vergessen, als sie ist da, so hat von sie Heuch getan mit weiter Mekäumes. They had the breath of distant places. A Steiger wie in Nittendorf wollte sich ausbehalten, a Stück Stock, as if in the middle of the village, a bit of a town was hiding out. In corridors, Jakob and Arain in der Nozareach in Kreuz. In the corridor, Jakob smelt cabbage. Man hat schon da bei Zeitens gekocht warmes. They were already in advance cooking a meal. It's lunch, I assume. Die Tieren haben gehabt meschene Kliamkes. The doors had brass doorknobs, wie bei Jacob's Eltern, as had been the case with Jacob's parents. Waar die Schwellen zijn gelegen roaches, and in front of the threshold there were straw mats. Ein Tür hat sich geöffnet, the door opened, und das, was Jakob hat jetzt gesehen, and what Jakob saw now, is gewesen so äußerlich, was so strange, wie a Cholam, like a dream. Bei Tisch seien gesessen 3 Juden. 3 Jews were sitting at the table, with beards, payers, with earlocks, with kaplan auf die cap, and with head coverings. Bei einem ist die Jupiter gewesen aufgehäkelt und so hat sich gewissen a talles cotton mit Zitzes. In one of them, the long coat was unbuttoned, and inside that you could see, I'm not sure what the English word for tallis cotton is, with fringes. Well, what is that? Is there an English word for tallis cotton? I mean, I know what it is.
I think so.
What's it?
I don't think there is an English word.
Okay.
Well,
Anything-
ritual garment.
It's it.
Well, that's
Everyone knows-
stitches, but that's
Everyone knows what a tallis cotton is.
well, not everybody knows. It's a ritual garment, I would say.
Well,
But anyway,
it's worn under the shirt, and
Right.
it has 4 corners with ritual fringes, and religious people wear it. And in this case, obviously, the tzitzit were hanging out, which is done with Orthodox people. So these were real Jews. Um, okay.
well, they were Jews who displayed their
Yeah,
religion. I
yeah.
think the idea is that they displayed it. It's out there, not hidden.
Einem von den Juden hat Jakob gekannt. Jakob knew one of the Jews, aber in sein Vermischung hat nicht gewusst, wer ist. But in his confusion, he didn't know who he was. Jakob ist gestanden, Jakob stood, gegafft, he gaped at them. A lange Weile haben beide statt ihm geguckt auf sich mit Steunung. For a long time, both sides looked with surprise at each other. Danach hat ein jeder so getan, auf Jiddisch loschen. Afterwards, one Jew started talking in Yiddish. Ihr seid Jakob Zamoshcher. You are Jakob Zamoshcher from Zamosht. Jakob ist geworden dunkel vor die Augen. Jakob got dark in front of his eyes. Ja, yes, I, hat geantwortet in a goyischer Aussprache. He answered with a Gentile pronunciation. Rab Abraham, Yosef, 4 verse Adam, the son-in-law of Abraham, used 4 verse, ja, ich konnte nicht, don't you recognize me? Ja, nein, ja, no. Jakob hat gegabt, he was gaping, he was still amazed. Die Zure is him gewesen heimisch. The face that he saw was familiar, aber hat sich nicht gekonnt ermonnen, wer das ist, but he couldn't remind himself who this actually was. Heißt es, does that mean, es ist nicht der Yom Hamita, Hamita? Does that mean it's not my day of death? Hat Jakob sich gewundert. Jakob wondered. Hat noch als nicht benommen, was dort tut sich. He had not yet comprehended what is happening here. A Busha hat ihm angenommen. A shame overcame him. Weil die Poyersche Malbushim, was hat getragen, for the Gentile clothes that he was wearing, die Borbese Fis, his bare feet, als is ihm geworden still und verbliebert, everything in him became still and like turned to stone. He became rigid. A kindische Stummkeit hat ihm angehabt, a childish silence had taken hold of him. Und an Untertänigkeit and a humility and as if he was subject to others.
Subject to what? What did you say? Subject to?
Yeah, but untertänig, I'm below,
Submissiveness.
I'm unter, I hold myself below you.
Oh,
Untertänig,
mhm.
Submissiveness.
Submissiveness.
Subjection,
Untertänigkeit. Mhm.
Submissiveness.
submissive, thank you, that's the best word,
Mhm.
submissiveness. Efter bin ich schon einmal dort, perhaps I'm there already, is him eingefallen, he thought. Hat gewollt reden, he wanted to speak, aber nicht hat gekonnt herausbringen a Wort, but he was neither able to bring out a word von der Kell from his throat, nicht hat gedenkt in der Rega das jiddischen Loschen, and at this moment he didn't even remember the Jewish language, the Yiddish language. A zweite Tier hat sich aufgemacht, a second door opened, when sie sah rein, Zachariah, and Zachariah came in, niedrig, low, great, broad, mit a zunterreute nose, with his very red, fiery red nose, mit zwei Diener Wunzen, with two thin whiskers, die meiselsche eklig, like mouse tails, ungetorn in a grüner Beckische, dressed in a green long coat, beschreven with bows, und in Stiefel and in boots, mit niedriger followers with low leggings. Hat gehalten a Riemen zugefestigt zu a Fissel. He was holding a Riemen, a strip of leather fastened to a Fissel von a horse, tied to the foot of a rabbit. Er ist schon bei Zeitens gewesen verschnoschert. He was already under the influence, weil is gegangen mit der Woche nicht, because he was going unsteadily with a staggering gait. Die Augen verlaufen mit der deutlichen Soße, the eyes filled with a reddish, watery stuff. Hat a Geschrei getan. He shouted, "Nu, das ist Ariad. So, is this your Jew? Ja, das ist yes, this is him." Wat nog Kenkelnisch geantwoord, jener was wat eerst nog gered to Jacob. Yes, this is him. After some hesitation, he was the one who had just been speaking to Jacob answered, "Nehmt him und geht, take him and go. Who is Geld? Where's your money?"
Okay.
Well, we know he's from
And-
Zamosh now. That's the town. We didn't know that until now. That's interesting information.
Ja. Okay. Einer von den Jiden, ein Niederiker, mit einem ausgeeilt Pony, ein breiter schwarzer Bord wie ein Fächer. So one of the Jews, a short man with a refined face, with a broad black beard, like a fan, schwarze Augen, tief eingepasst in weiße Backen Bakkenkishlach, with black eyes, deeply set in his white, in the white sort of a cushion-like cheeks. Hat Schweigendickerheit herausgezogen von Bosom a ledernem Beitel und genommen bedächtig auszählen gildene Rändlich. So he quietly took out from from a leather wallet and thoughtfully counted out golden coins. Hat übergezählt 15 Rändlich. He counted out 15 gold coins. Zagayuk hat angenommen jedes Rändl, geprüftes Ausbeugen zwischen die Daumen und die Weißfinger. And Zagayuk accepted each coin and tried to bend it between his thumb and his index finger. Erst jetzt hat Jakob benommen, was geschieht. It was only now that Jakob understood what was happening. Jeden seine gekommen nach ihm. The Jews had come for him. Man lässt ihm aus von Gefangenschaft. They were redeeming him from captivity. Ot, der ist doch a Yosephofer. This man came from Yoseph, einer von die Balabatim, one of the householders. Hat etwas in Jakoben a Geschrei getan. Something called out in Jacob's mind. An österliche Unbeholfenkeit hat Jakoben angenommen. A strange helplessness overcame Jakob. Wie die ganze 5 Jahre Leben zwischen die Päuerim wollten sich in der jetzige Rege zu neu genommen in ihm verwandelt in a Chas. So a restlessness overcame him, and it was as if in the whole 5 years of living among the peasants, that 5 years of living among the peasants would have, in that present moment, turned him into a coarse person, or a boer. I'm a gushim, so this coarse person, a boer. Hat nicht gewusst, wo hinzutun die vergräbte Hand. He didn't know where to put his coarse hands. Die keutige fist, his dirty feet. Hat sich verschämt vor dem zerrissenen Spencer. He was ashamed of his torn undershirt. Die gelattete Hosen and his patched pants. Die lange Haar was seinen ihm gefallen bis die Achseln, and his long hair which came down to his shoulders. Hat gehabt a Verlang sich zu bucken für die Juden. He had a desire to bow in front of these Jews, Meister Poyer, in the same way as a peasant would do it. Anzuchappen, die Handseire und Kuschen, and to grab their hands and kiss them. Der Jid, was hat ausgezählt, die Rändler, hat aufgehoben ab dem Blick. The Jew who counted out the gold coins lifted up his glance. Baruch Mechaye Mesim. Blessed is the one who raises the dead.
Mhm.
Es ist als geschehen österlich gich, and it all happened strangely quickly. The Geier hat Jakoven der langt die Hand, gewünschen a glückliche Reise. The Geier shook Jacob's hand and wished him a good journey. Die Jiden seien mit ihm a Reus in Dreußen, and the Jews went with him outside. Im Geheißen einsitzen in der Boyd, and they told him to sit in the carriage. A Gesemmel Poerim haben sich gehabt versammelt arum the Geigs Haus. A group of peasants had gathered outside the Geigs house. Aber es hat sich dort nicht gefunden, keiner von Jan Bzik's Gesindel. But among them, there weren't any members of Jan Bzik's household. Eider Jakob hat gekonnt gefinnen a Wort in Moel, hat schon der Antreiber a Goy, was Jakob hat erst iets der sehen, getan a Schmitz, die Pferd und die Beut hat sich genommen Keikelenberger Rock. But before Yaakov was able to find a word to say, the driver of the Boyd, who was a Gentile, and whom Yaakov had only now noticed, he whipped the horses, and the carriage began to roll down the mountain. Jakob hat gedenkt an wandern, aber die Lippen seien geblieben versiegelt. Jakob thought about wander, but his lips remained sealed. Was hat gekonnt verlangen? What could he have expected? Man soll mitnehmen a Goye sein Kochanke, that they should take with him this Gentile woman, his mistress. Sie hat sich a viele nicht gefunden in Dorf. Soll sich können mit ihr gesegnen. She wasn't even in the village, so that he could take his leave of her. Also plötzlich, wie man hat ihm mit 5 Jahren zurückgefangen. It was so sudden that in the same way as 5 years earlier, they had captured him. Also hat man ihm jetzt ausgelöst. And that is how they had redeemed him now. mit Koyach, mit Impet, mit Zwang, with power, with haste, and mit Zwang, with pliers. Die Jiden in der Beut haben zu ihm geredet, alle mit Amol. The Jews in the carriage spoke to him all at the same time. Und in sein Verwirrtheit hat recht nicht verstanden, was sie sagen. And in his this Verwirrtheit, in his excitement, he didn't really understand what they were saying. Wie sie wollten sich benutzt mit a fremder Sprach, as if they were speaking in a foreign language. Man hat ihm gehabt, umgehangen a Decke auf den Leib, and they placed a blanket around his body. Man hat aufgelegt a Kappel auf den Scharben, and they placed a yarmulke on his head, on his scalp. Is gesessen wie ein Nacketer zwischen Ungetuner. He was sitting like a naked person among people who were dressed. Bisslichweise hat sich wieder genommen zugewöhnen zu den Jiden, and slowly he began once again to become used to the Jews. Their loschen, their nicken reiches. He became used to their language, their quirks, and their smell. Hat gefragt von wannen sie haben gewusst wegen ihm, und sie haben geantwortet. And he asked how they came to know about him, and they answered, Stach, der Bärentreiber hat erzählt. So the bear trainer had told us, was is geworden mit mein Mishpocha? What happened to my family? Hat Yaakov gefragt noch a while. Yaakov asked after a time. Dein Schwester Miriam lebt. Your sister Miriam is alive. Mehr keiner nicht, and nobody else. Darf ich reisen kriegen? Should I tear a garment in mourning? Hat Jakob gefragt, sich und die andere. So Jakob asked himself and the others. Ich hab schon vergessen den Dien. I've forgotten what the law is. After Mama, ja. After your parents, yes. Auf Kinder bloß die erste 30 Tage. But as far after children, only within the first 30 days. Hat geantwortet einer von den Jiden. One of the Jews answered, Ja, sis a Shmur Rechoke, hat Jakob ausgetracht. Wörter, was seinen ihm allein vorgekommen fremd. Yes, it's as if it were news from afar. Yaakov had thought up words which appeared to him to be strange. Wiewohl hat gewusst die ganze Zeit, als die Kreuve im Leben nicht, is geworden full mit Avelis, even though he knew the whole time that his relatives were not alive, he still felt the feeling of mourning. Ein Schwester Miriam is gehad geblieben, so his sister Miriam remained, only his sister Miriam remained von der ganze Mishpocha, from his whole family. Had mehr gehad zu fragen auf Protim. He was scared to ask for details. Is gesessen still und geguckt vor sich. He sat quietly and looked in front of him, ahead of him. Die Jiden haben mehr geredet zwischen sich wie zu ihm. The Jews spoke more among themselves than to him. Sie haben sich durchgeschmust wegen Malbushim vor ihm, Jakoven, a Hemd, a Taliskotten, Häusen, Schich. They were discussing among themselves about clothes for Yaakov, a shirt, a Taliskotten, pants, shoes. Emmett hat reingeworfen, as medaf im opscheren die Haar. Somebody mentioned that they should cut his hair. Einer von die Passagieren hat aufgebunden a ledernem Sack, sich geporret mit die Chafotzim, was seinen dort eingepackt. So one of the passengers opened up a leather bag and fussed with the things that were packed inside it. A zweiter hat gewollt geben Jakoven lecker Bromfen, eingemacht. Aber Jakob hat sich abgesagt. A second one wanted to give Yaakov cake and liquor, preserves, but Yaakov declined. L'chol hapachas, ein Shah hat gemusst bleiben an Oval. At least for 1 hour, he should remain a mourner. Hat schon jetzt gewusst, wer ist der Josipover Balabos, was hat früher nicht erkennt. Reb Moshe Zakolover, einer von die Shiva Tovei Ha'ir. He now knew who the householder from Yosefov was, that he previously had not recognized. And this was Reb Moshe Zokolover, one of the 7 important men of the town. When Yaakov is awek, is noch der Moschele gewesen a junger Mann mit a klein Bertel. When Yaakov had left, this Moschele, was still a young man with a short beard. Aber es ist gehat auf ihm Ruf die Älter, but age had crept up on him. Es ist wie Josef mit die Brüder, hat einer gesagt. It's like Joseph and his brothers. One of them said, As Mirandos der lebt, darf man machen a Shechianu, hat reingeworfen a zweiter. That the fact that one has survived this, one should say Shechianu. A second one threw in. Ich will davon Benchen Goimel, hat Jakob gemurmelt, etwas wie zu beweisen, als ist ein Jid und als die Leute, was haben ihm ausgelesen, haben nicht gemacht, kein Tors. I should bench Gamel. I should bench say the blessing of being saved. Yaakov mumbled as if to show that he was a Jew, and to the people who had redeemed him, and so that the people who redeemed him should know that they had not made a mistake. Hat sich dabei abgegeben nach Heshben, als die Wörter seien nicht auf den Ort. And at the same time, he thought that these words were not apt. Hat gedacht, schon da abgeben nach Shevach dem rebellischen Oilem. He should now already have given praise to the Master of the Universe. Aber etwas hat sich geschämt für die dosige edle Leid. But somehow he was embarrassed in front of these refined people. Das eigene Kohl hat abgehielt grob. His own voice sounded coarse. Sie seien als gewinn kleiner, aber Jakob, ist so hoch, als hat ungerührt mit dem Kopf die Reif von der Beut. They were all short, but he, Yaakov, was tall, so tall that his head touched the top of the roof of the carriage. Sis im gewinn eng und sis do gestanden a Geruch, was is ihm vorgekommen, sei heimisch, sei fremd. He felt eng, closed in, and there was an odor around him which appeared to him to be both familiar and foreign. Hat gebräucht zu nissen, aber hat sich eingehalten. He wanted to sneeze, but he stopped himself. Hat gedacht, abgeben die Jiden a Dank, aber hat mehr nicht gewusst, was für a Red me benutzt in a Satraf. He felt he ought to thank these Jews, but he no longer knew what sort of words to use in this situation. Wörter seien ihm gegangen auf der Zunge, aber hat nicht gekonnt herausbringen. The words sort of arose onto his tongue, but he couldn't get them out. Jedes Mal, was hat gewollt reden, hat sich reingemischt in sein Yiddish Polish. Every time he wanted to speak, there was mixed into his Yiddish Polish. Sie ist ihm befallen, die Furcht von Amoritz, was muss sich austeilen mit Talmidei Chachomim. Und weist vor uns, als wird werden gestreuchelt mit Greisen. It occurred to he felt a dread, the dread of an ignoramus who had to speak to scholars, and he knew ahead of time that he would be what he said would be beset with errors. Nach a while hat gefragt. After a while he asked, wer ist geblieben in Josefov? Who remained alive in Josefov? Gleich die Jiden wollten bloß gewahrt auf dem Frag, haben alle genommen reden mit Amol, as if these people were simply waiting for this question. All of them began to speak at the same time. Die Heidemakers haben gemacht a Teil von der Stadt. The Haidamaks, the Cossacks, destroyed the town. Es hat geharget, geschochten, gebrennt, gehangen. They murdered, they slaughtered, they burnt, they hanged. Aber es ist von deswegen geblieben ein Überbleibenisch. But nevertheless, a remnant remained. Srov, Almonas, alte Leid und a bissel Kinder, most of them widows, old people, and a few children. Was haben sich ausbehalten auf Beidemer, these people who hid in attics, in kellers, in cellars, oder bei Poerim in die Dörfer, or with peasants in the villages. Die Jiden haben der Mund nehmen Bekannter und euch Fremder. The Jews mentioned the names of people that he knew and also people that he didn't. Es haben sich gehat hereingezogen kein Josefov nahe Balabatim von anderen Städtlich. The new householders from other towns had moved into Yosipov.